What you doing? I'm Daisy, and this is Alcoholandanime! This is kind of a unique situation of drinking and animeing. Sure. Well, first off, I watched the Seven Deadly Sins Cursed by Light film that came out last year in 2021, because we are now finally in 2022. But aside from that, this is another solo podcast. It could have been easily with someone else, but this actually isn't the first time I watched this film. I actually watched it pretty much not that long ago. It was somewhere after I finished watching the series, and between then and now, maybe a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. What happened is I was saving this for whenever I was going to do a podcast on it. Then I forgot I was going to do that. It kept just sitting in my to watch list or whatever it's called on Netflix, and I was like, why haven't I watched this yet? Let's just watch it, get it over with. Oof! I watched it. I just must have not cared about it at all because I didn't really even remember much of what happened, and then I just didn't care about it. And then I remembered sometime afterwards, oh yeah, I meant to save this one so I could do a podcast on it. I was like, oops. Okay. I guess I'm going to do it again. But then by then, my friends had already watched it too. And I was like, I don't want to drag anyone in this because I'm pretty sure I don't like it, even though for some reason I don't remember it that much. So I was like, I'll just do a solo podcast on it. Give me something to do, get it out of the way. Yeah, I'll have to rewatch it, whatever. And I kept putting it off until finally now. And because I finally remembered, it's like, I can do something kind of dumb or weird with it. Sure. So that's going to jump us right into the alcohol segment of this Alcohol Anime podcast. So, what also makes this unique is if you know or if you don't know, I do a little short, usually pretty dumb, kind of usually also really weird. The week after I post the podcast on my YouTube shorts and Instagram reels, whatever, and all based off of something vaguely related to the movie or to the podcast or whatever. A lot of times, what usually happens is I will say what I'm going to do or say something that I should have done related to drinking in the podcast, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's the idea I should do for my short. It was opposite this time. It was actually the short that eventually made me finally watch the movie again and record this podcast. So okay, what I did is I took 7 shots throughout the course of watching the movie. So that means I took 7 shots in about a little over an hour. And you're like, wait, but the movie was an hour and 20 minutes minus credits because, I kind of just skipped through the credits. And it's like, that's more than an hour. That's almost an hour and a half. I was like, yeah, because I watched this movie on 1.25 speed because I already vaguely knew what happened. I just needed to refresh myself. I almost cranked it up to 2 or at least 1.5, but I was like, ah. So what I was doing, I was taking a shot every 10 to 9 minutes. Oof, and that ended up in 7 different shots of 7 different alcohols in about an hour. Because, I don't sit still. I had to get up and stretch a little bit to stretch the alcohol off a bit because some of them a little rough. So this is what I ended up taking first to represent Sloth. I did some blue curacao. Easy, no problem. It's blue, whatever. Second, to represent Gluttony was Crown Apple. I don't know, another easy shot, apple, crown, whatever. The bottle is kind of roundish. So I was like, oh, this is kind of looks like a fatty for Gluttony or whatever. Third was Lust with Disaronno. Kind of sweet. I guess, which could be kind of seductive, lust, whatever. And those were the easy ones. Then the fourth one was where it started getting harder. And this one honestly should have been the last because this is one I dread the most. But I guess it effectively fit. I don't know if that's the right word for that. The fourth one was a shot of Jose Cuervo. And it fit Envy, I felt like perfectly because I wanted it to be something else. But I had to save the last three that was special. The third from last was Seagram 7 whiskey to represent pride. Even though I'm kind of iffy about that choice. Then it was Platinum 7X of vodka to represent wrath, which I don't know, wrath and kind of like how I'm sorry if this is any kind of stereotype or if it seems kind of I don't know bad to say, but Russian kind of angry seeming. So wrath, whatever. Vodka seems very Russian-esque. And then the last one, which it really defeats the purpose because I did these in order of what I thought was the worst, or starting with what I thought was the least bad sin to what I think is the worst, and that was greed. Is my last one, and I used Don Q Reserva Añejo Siete Años Rum, and it's actually one of my favorite. It's probably one of the best rums I've had, and I saved it for last just because it was I don't know, it was one of my favorites. But rum is usually can be pretty rough, and I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. But also with the last three, they all have 7 in the name, and that's why I chose them. I went to the liquor store, and I was like, I should probably get some kind of alcohol in case I finally record this. Then I was like, it was a bit iffy. I was like, do I want to just find something called 7 Cents? Because there are something like 7 Cents Gin, or 7 Daily Gins is one I saw, but it wasn't available in the liquor store. Or do I just want to get something with 7 in the name and only drink that? And then I found 3 different brands, and the last 3 are named Singer 7, Platinum X7, and Don Q7. Um, had 7 in the name. I was like, I'll just try to find as many things with 7 in the name and get all those. Of course, that didn't happen. I only found 3. But since I found 3, I decided to just use 4 more of whatever else I already had on hand. And it turned out all right. The donkey I really liked. The other 2 were fine. Everything else is fine and whatever. But after all of that, and I don't know, I guess I'm spoiling the short. Then I took a shot, every 10 minutes. Then after I finished all the shots, I did one more little scene or whatever of all of them combining together into one drink. And it was not good. 7 shots, even though it feels like a lot when I drink them individually. When you pour them all into one glass, not that much. There's not that much to it, really. And that was a little disappointing, but it's still going to take me forever to drink because it is not good. Not surprising. I almost had one type of alcohol, or all 7 of them was almost 7 different types of alcohol, except for the Crown Apple and the Seagram 7 was both whiskey. I had other stuff I could have used. I just didn't. I don't know why. I guess I don't know why. I shouldn't use the Crown Apple. I should have switched out with something else. But I had some, and I was like, I might as well do this one. Also, going back, I drink a little bit of Crown Apple in my Attack on Titan podcast, so I should mix up a little bit more. But that was a rough. I don't know. There was a lot of me hyping it up and also not wanting to do it because even though I do these podcasts, I don't drink as much as I used to. Sadly, just busy and stuff. So I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can do like 7 shots in an hour, almost an hour, a little over an hour, I guess. It's like, I don't know how this is going to go. Plus, I want to have another drink while I do it. Of all of them combined, I was actually, maybe for the first time ever, intimidated by drinking. And also, I don't know, I just bought a lot of alcohol. So, Oh, but it's over. I finally did it. But it was also the excitement of doing this stupid little bit, the stupid little short. That was like that got me to finally come and do this. I was like, I already bought the alcohol. I already have these. I bought these specifically for this one stupid reason. Yeah, I gotta do it. I gotta do it at some point. So I did it. Now I have been wanting to buy or not buy, build up my own little bar of different alcohols, anyways, just so I can get into like cosmic. What do they call it? Drink mixology. Yeah, just so I can get more into mixology, even though I'm not that crazy in mixed drinks. But yeah, so it kind of justifies it as like, oh, this was like a start to that because there's nowhere I'm going to drink 3 bottles too quickly, right? And all these other little ones I have, which are actually almost out. Uh, but yeah, I'm trying to just build it up and just keep buying stuff. So this was a good set, buying 3 at one time, even though it was whatever. Most expensive bottle of rum I ever got, I'll tell you. I almost always get the cheapest ones. But hey, gotta splurge a little bit for something stupid like this, I guess. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much the dumbness that is the alcohol story for this one. Nothing besides there being 7 different things I drank and some of them having the number 7 in the name. Nothing too crazy for to relate to either 7 deadly sins or being cursed by light. I've talked about 7 deadly sins before when I watched the live action of Full Metal Alchemist. I guess I could go into what I think each drink could be like for the sins in this because they do act a lot differently, and that's one of the things I've noticed is like the 7 different sins personality, and in this, of course, compared to Full Metal Alchemist, are a lot different. I'm trying to think how the drinks would be different, and because a lot of the time when I was watching the series, I wasn't like, okay, I see how these are, um, like reflective of the character and their sins and whatever. But I guess I can kind of go through them. Sure. I it's hard. So starting with Sloth, of course, King. I finally realized for all of them how they reflect. King is Sloth because he always has that pillow. He seems lazy. He should have been king of the fairies, but he kind of just didn't do that obligation. Kind of his own thing. Seems he wanted to be like kind of the fat looking thing. As far as the drink, him being a fairy seems magical. If I would do like an absinthe, uh, but really like a light absinthe, really sugary, really. That's sugary seems like active and hyper, I guess, kind of thing. But for me, it really seems lazy because sugar doesn't affect me how it does everyone. It makes me lazy. So like a very sugary absinthe, just really. But that's also work. Um, it would be absinthe, but instead of pouring the absinthe over the sugar cube, you just drop a sugar cube in there, let it dissolve, and that would be the drink. So with what I do next, I keep forgetting the 7 deadly sins. Next was gluttony. Yeah, easy. Gluttony. Merlin. This is the one I still have trouble with. How does Merlin like characterize gluttony? And somebody once told me it's like, oh, it's because it's just one gets full on magic. And okay, sure, I'll get that. But as far as like Merlin as a character, I don't know. I guess I would do a shooter and of something heavy. Um, I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to say Jaeger, but something Jaeger-esque. Just black. Ooh, I know. Yeah, just something, a shooter. Kind of skinny, tallish, but yeah, just something heavy and dark. That's all I'll say for that. Not really anything in particular that I can think of. Maybe crown apple. Do some crown apple in there, mixed with a little bit of sambuca. That's what I'm saying. Not necessarily Jaeger because, yeah, but both of those are pretty light. It's deceiving, just like kind of how Merlin is. Then for lust, Gunther or Gauth. Wait, Gauther. I always forget his name. Gunther. I'm gonna call him Gunther. Um, this one is a weird one because Gunther as a character is like made being after like someone his creator loved, and that's where he's designed after. But he has an entirely bizarre character arc throughout the whole series. But I would do something ooh cute looking, but with a little bite. Because it's supposed to be some metallic-y tasting. To me, I guess a little like harsh vodka and like mixed with maybe like a fruity liqueur. And prefer if you have a metal shot glass, I'll do that too, just to represent how he was in like a metal suit when you first meet him, which is makes no sense. The whole Gother's whole character is weird, but that's kind of what I'll do with that. Then envy. This one's Diane, and it took me until this to really realize why Diane is envy, because she's like this big giant who wants to be like this small, who like kind of envies smaller people, wants to kind of fit in. That's kind of what I'm thinking with Diane. For some reason, I keep wanting to say Wendy. Where does Wendy come from? But yeah, so I'm thinking another like I won't say another big shot, but I guess you don't really have another big shot. Something that looks intimidating, maybe another shooter for her, but something very light. Maybe not fruity. If you get something earthy and light, maybe a very light gin or a gin mixed with a very light liqueur. Mm, maybe something like that. Then I had Pride. Escanor. Escanor was one of the most obvious of being prideful. The more you got, so this one would be something. Oh, this is the other thing I was thinking. I was wanting to do Escanor. Cursed by light, but Escanor's not even in it, even though he gets all his power from sunlight. Uh, and I was like, he's gonna be missing from this. I remember. Might as well just do a drink based entirely on Escanor. Now that way, Escanor should be in it. So I was thinking of doing like a sunrise. I keep thinking all these are shots, but I could do a full drink. But yeah, sunrise, or there is one called sunshine. He has some kind of attack, but of course a very bright drink, a very strong one though. I would even say maybe tequila. What's a strong one? I always think of tequila as being the strongest. Oh, but I did whiskey. Whiskey is kind of feels like prideful, so I like it. Whiskey, something bright. I think mix it with like some kind of lemon juice isn't very bright, but like orange or a very bright drink, something that really catches your attention. Then Wrath, which is Meliodas. I know not he's the kind of leader, not even the last one on my list, and he would be something very. This one, of course, would be the strongest one, I guess. Strongest tasting. Um, what do I normally? I want to say tequila for greed because I don't know why tequila I feel like is worse than greed is the worst. But I like tequila. I drink a lot of tequila. But for wrath, something anything strong. I feel like it'd be a mix of a lot of strong flavors, something almost overpowering. Just a nice short little shot, but something for a big punch. Maybe not even a full shot, but something that's going to hit you quick. And then, of course, greed. I did an entire video on why I think greed is kind of the worst. It kind of is the start of all the sins. In a way, all sins represent greed. And the greed is always a powerful character and always seems special. And you see that in this too. Aside from Meliodas, greed or Bond is definitely one of the stronger ones. But I do definitely do tequila. I don't know, something about tequila it has a very rich and distinct flavor always, so maybe that's why. Or a rich flavor, greed. It might just be a straight up shot. I don't know, so I would want to put with it. An expensive shot, maybe with a touch of something to represent Bond. Maybe with just a little touch of. Oh fuck! that red syrup kind of stuff. I forget the name of it, but yeah, just a little touch of that, and that'll be for Bond. So that's how I kind of would characterize drinks for this. Kind of makes them different from what I characterized in the Full Metal Alchemist Seven Deadly Sins. Yeah, it is interesting to try to think about how they, even though they're all seven different sins, how they can still be characterized differently. But still, even though was one of my favorite characters until I saw Escanor, who is by far the best character. Even not even because he's strong, just because he actually, seems to have some kind of story that fits with who he is. I guess they all kind of do, but Escanor's was my favorite, and the fact that he got like a cool ending to everyone else. Yep, that's it for the alcohol portion of this. Next, to go into me talking about the actual anime, the actual film, The Seven Deadly Sins: Cursed by Light. Ooh wee! Sorry, talked about how I wasn't super crazy about this the first time I watched it. I will say the second time watching it, it was a little better. It's still not a phenomenal movie. I still didn't really want to watch it again, even after seeing it a second time. But I guess I'm kind of glad I did because it is a little bit better. But oof, this first off, okay. Of course, I guess if you made it this far, it should be obvious. There's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. I'm going to pretty much just go through the movie. But to be fair, there's not that much to it. I could tell you, I could almost just read one, it might take 2 sentences, and it would pretty much tell you the entire plot. And in fact, I'm going to do that. So, it's pretty much past fairy king and giant king get manipulated by the supreme deity after the holy war is over to go and take down Meliodas and the rest of the seven sins and all their allies. But then Meliodas and the rest of the seven deadly sins, and plus Zeldris, end up just taking them down with not much of a problem. That's it. One sentence. I know it's what do they call it? It's still technically one sentence. Yeah, and that's it. Like, there's not much else to it. That's all it is. And it was really to the point, and it was only an hour and 20 minutes. I don't even know. I think it was with credits or without credits. It would have been like actually doing 10 minutes, which I eventually took down to 9 minutes. My last timer didn't even go off until sometime into the credits. The credits already started before my last timer went off, which I was trying to do before the credits. But so it might have only been like an hour 10 minutes. It was not long at all. Hour. I would be courteous say like an hour and 8 minutes, maybe hour 8, hour 7. No, hour 8 or hour 9. No, an hour and 12 or an hour and 13 minutes at most. It was very short. I felt like this should have been like just part of the series. But the way they do it, the way the series ended and the way they do this movie, it definitely feels like this came afterward, or like they planned this afterwards. Because it takes place in between the last 2 episodes. Because in the last episode of the series, it kind of just is a flash forward to show what everyone's doing. And this picks up almost immediately after the whole Demon King thing, and then the whole thing with Arthur and Chaos and all that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. It like definitely worth watching, but I feel like it should just been part of the series. Honestly, I feel like what they should have done, they should just immediately done this after the Demon King was defeated. But I guess a little bit of time coming works out. I don't know. It didn't need a whole movie because it wasn't even really a whole movie. I'm still of the opinion movies should not be less than 2 hours. And this easily could have been 2 hours. But like I said, they took out almost anything that was not fighting. It's like they had a full 2 hour movie, and then they only went through and took out, they pretty much only used the fighting scenes. Because there's like no in between of anything. It's weird. I don't know why movies are doing this. It feels like there was supposed to be more. And there just wasn't. But let me actually talk about what happens. So the movie opens up with a quick montage, and then you show the attack by some kind of giant and fairy in the demon realm. Then you cut back to Meliodas just going on a trip with Elizabeth. He said he was going to become king, but then he didn't because he wanted to go on an adventure. But he said he'll be king whenever he gets back. Okay, sure. So he agrees to that. But then he ends up running into Zeldris. Um, and, kind of do a little sibling bickering until they see another demon or whatever. And then another montage into all the other characters again. I don't know why they did it twice. They did a quick one going in and starting the movie. And it's not even like it's opening credits. It's just another montage like showing each sin, and which is the only time Escanor actually shows up. Escanor, I wish he could have been in it somehow. No, when people die, leave their deaths sacred and important. Don't be cheap about it and try to bring him back. But I see too many series try to do that. But then after these kind of opening credits or another montage, it goes into Kings and Diane's wedding. Shows pretty much everyone there, except for, of course, Meliodas and Elizabeth. Of course, Escanor is dead, and then Merlin's with Arthur doing whatever. So they show a little bit of that, and that's this wedding is kind of the only background story we really have going on. This wedding, their trip, but it's so brief. They show this is the setting, and then stuff starts to happen. Meliodas and Zeldris fight with rock, paper, scissors, except for Zeldris always uses rock. They do it again later to try to decide who's going to cook, and since he always uses rock, Meliodas always knows that. And of course, Meliodas is a terrible cook, ends up, just making both of them sick because he tries to feed it to Zeldris, and Zeldris shoves it right back in his mouth. Dumb little scene, but this is about as much story outside of fighting as you get. I think that's almost all we get, really. But yeah, so they go to the demon realm to figure out what was happening because the demon they found told them what was going on. And then while they're doing that, Diane and King's wedding is interrupted by possessed fairies and giants. So they're having to fight them off. And then, the other human holy knights, whatever, trying to fight too. Blah, blah, blah. The city's also getting attacked by them. Nobody knows what's going on. And it's like, okay, cool. And then I say things happen really fast, but they take up most of the movie. But then it's still not even that long because it's only an hour or so. So, who to start with? Because Demon Realm or Earth Realm? Let's just talk about Meliodas and Zeldris, plus Elizabeth and Gilda, I think. You sure? I'm not sure. They go to Demon Realm, find it completely just kind of like desolate, terrible looking, even though it's the Demon Realm. It probably wasn't looking that great to begin with. And that's because I think there was a second Fairy King and Giant King named Dahlia and Doves came and took over. They also, and Meliodas still just fight a bit, and it seems like they got the upper hand. But then, in kind of like one tricky counter move, Dahlia and Doves knock him back. It wasn't a big, huge fight, just something to start off with. And this is a very typical thing that's about to happen. They kind of fight a little bit, get knocked back, and it's like, oh, that's the introduction to the villains combi. Zeldris kind of gets saved by Gilda. Man, I hope that's the right name. I don't know. And then after that, Meliodas and Elizabeth are kind of in some kind of white thing. They don't even really explain what it is. I guess it was something created by Doves or Dahlia. One of them created this just white space. And it shows Zeldris is all like, I need your help talking to all the other demons that still surviving to go save Meliodas. And it's like, oh, this is where the actual story and struggle is going to be. Nope. It shows pretty much immediately Meliodas is saved. And it's like, what's the point? Like, there was no in between. It was pretty much like Zelda's like, we're going to save him. And then he saved him. Nothing in between. It didn't even show him how he got there, where he was at, where this little white space was at. Like, what the? Okay. This seems like where a lot of the story would have taken place. And they're just like, nah. Let's just get to the fighting part. It's like, okay. It shows a little bit of the other demons kind of struggling and kind of putting on a fight against Dolly and Dubs. But it seems like right when they're about to all get slaughtered, of course, Meliodas and Zelda show up. And then just completely one-sided, just crush Dolly and Dubs again. And this happens so much in anime and manga. Like, the main protagonist group gets, like, beat a little bit, but then they always come back right away and pretty much just beat them, no problem. Like, if they don't already be in the first go, it always happens like this. There's only been one instance where I've seen there was any more kind of struggle. Whenever, completely unrelated, in One Piece, whenever Luffy fought Crocodile, that was the only time Luffy kept struggling against Crocodile. He got beat like twice before you beat him. But that's unrelated. The same thing happened in the most recent arc of One Piece. So he went, fought Kaido. Wait, what's his name? Whatever. Got kind of put on a good fight, got beat, and now he's going to go back and beat him again because that's always what happens. Ugh. But whatever. So yeah, and that was pretty much it. They realized they're probably being controlled by something else. I assume so. I don't know if they were actually dead or not to begin with, but they're definitely back now. I don't know where they came from or where they're at. You don't see them ever again after this. There's no explanation of how this actually happened to them or what they were doing beforehand. So, yeah, I don't know. I think you kind of need to watch the series before you can even understand this bare amount of it. It makes, I don't know, it's so weird because it came out. Pretty sure it came out in theaters or something. It was released in Japan on July 2nd, 2021, and it came to Netflix on October 1st. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Oh, actually, well, I guess the last part of the season didn't come to Netflix until later in the year for, non-Japanese audience. But I don't know, it's weird. It's definitely not a standalone movie. You couldn't watch this and have any idea what's going on without seeing the series. And I guess you really shouldn't, but I feel like if you're going to do films like this, they should. Unless this is a sequel film to another film, but a sequel film or a film to a series, I don't know. Going back to Earthrealm, though, they, of course, also figured out all these Johnson fairies are possessed. They're fighting them, but not lethally, of course. One interesting thing they do point out is that all of them did not participate in the Holy War originally. There were people who just either didn't want to be part of it or just couldn't be part of it or whatever. And that includes Dolly and Dubs. They also didn't want to take part in the Holy War. So I guess that's why they were able to be possessed so easily, because they're kind of neutral. Whereas if you can't really take control of people who already had their mindset to be in part of it and knew what side they were going to be on. So I guess that is one interesting aspect of it. But all that's figured out pretty easily. With Kane and Gunther, sorry, Diane, you don't really do much throughout all this. Kind of are able to snap them out of it, but the weapons and stuff is what's controlling them, or the spell's going through. So then Bond just super easily uses Snatch, takes away all their weapons, and that's it. They're just snapped out of it. Then they go to the city. Bond just does it again. They're snapped out of it. I was like, okay, cool. That's really cool that they're that strong. But really, it's that easy. Just use Snatch, and that's that. He could have just done that right from the beginning. But whatever. I guess it's okay. And then, actually, one more thing. Going back to Demon Run before I forget about. One thing, this is probably my favorite part, is there was actually still one demon struggling kind of keeping up the struggle and trying to get rid of Dahlia and Doves and tries to poison them. Uh, and like, kudos to you. Normally, when you see this kind of stuff, you see everyone just give up immediately. Nobody tries to fight back because they're too scared, and only the protagonists ever try to do anything. Good job to whoever this random demon was. I don't know if there was a name, but yeah, just goes, tries to poison him, fails miserably, and gets killed for it. But I like the hustle. I like you trying. Okay, so all that's over. There's still a little bit of time left in the movie, whatever. And then finally, the supreme deity, apparently God, I guess. Somebody calls it God, comes and it's like, I knew how strong y'all were. I should have known pawns weren't going to be enough. And it's just like, I'll just do this myself. Ghost kind of tries to fight. But another one good thing it really does show is how strong King Diane Gother. I don't know why I keep messing up Guther's name. And Bond, how strong they truly are. It's just this attacks by God are just being sent, and they're able to stand it. Especially Bond, who almost seems completely unaffected by anything. The others kind of bend and need a little bit, and all the of course humans and the other humans in the city are knocked out with one attack. But Bond especially just nothing's really affecting him, and they hold him off a little bit. And then when the Supreme Deity is supposed to have their like big attack, that's of course when Meliodas and Zeldris show up at the right time to kind of do it. And then after this, not even a huge fight. Dang, I just watched this and I feel like there's pretty much Meliodas uses full counter, and then there's like Supreme Deity tries to attack again, then Meliodas and Gel just go and attack once more, and that's pretty much it. They pretty much just dissolve the Supreme Deity, and that's that. That's it. Like, kind of cool, but it's also like kind of anticlimactic. It's so short. The fights are so short. Like they keep trying to do a lot of them. None of them last really long. There's some of them have a little impact, but nothing too crazy. And there's no story. It's just here's the next fight. Here's the next fight. Here's the next fight. There is no backstory for anything. They barely even mention the fact that there's weddings or they were on trips, and then they just go right into the fight. It's like, okay. There was not even any real struggle, except for Zeldris and Meliodas getting knocked back for a little bit, and then jumping right back into it. Like, even the other four, they don't have any real struggle either. It's like, okay, I guess. So I feel like there was supposed to be more to this. Like a whole half hour to another, maybe not another hour, half hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes to this film, and there just wasn't. It was really like if someone just showed me only the clips of the fights. That's I don't know. I don't like. There was so a little sad. Wow. Oh look, I just looked up box office stuff. It ranked third in its opening weekend. But then it dropped from third to 10 in the next weekend. So yeah, people watching it was like, ooh. That's what it seems like. It's like, we were excited for this, but I don't think this is exactly what we wanted. And you're right. I can't believe an hour, not even an hour and a half. That's everything. A lot of them are at least an hour and a half. This is not even close to an hour and a half, especially Tanger. I don't know. Okay, and this is where there's a little bit of extra story that takes place. So all the fighting's over. It shows Meliodas and Elizabeth finally get married. They don't even go back to like, oh yeah, King Diane got married. Oh, Bon and I don't remember King's sister's name. They decide not to get married, whatever. But yeah, and then Meliodas is king, and then of course you see everything else that happens in the last episode of the series. So it's like you don't need a whole lot more of that stuff, but you do get another little after credit scene of Merlin and Arthur. There was Merlin and Arthur pop up once. You see him. Arthur's trying to just make graves for all the people that died that he couldn't protect. Merlin's like, don't overdo it. And then you don't see him again for the entire movie until the end. And then you kind of just see Merlin poke in and spy on him a little bit and then goes right back. And then after the credits, you see him go to Merlin and say something like, "The Age of God has ended. Now it's the time for humans and chaos," which seems like something that would go into that last few episodes and stuff where it doesn't make sense because the last few episodes also already showed the whole chaos thing. But that seemed like if they would have done that and then brought Arthur back with, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird thing they did. But it also makes it seem like there's going to be more. Like there could be a whole nother movie, or there could be another little side series, with a spin-off series with Merlin and Arthur. That seems like something that could do. Magi did that with Sinbad, kind of a little prequel series. They could do like a little sequel series on here with just Arthur and Merlin. I see something cool with that because I felt like through the entire series, Arthur really never lived up to any kind of like cool potential that his character was supposed to have. I, I don't know, I just didn't really care anything about. Uh, so I don't know. It's weird. The only other thing you really get to see is there's this one scene with Hawk and Wild in purgatory, because they just had to show them there's, and then it's like Hawk is just they're hunting stuff. They seem to be doing fine, but Hawk is like, I really like all this leftovers, but I really miss the scraps, and goes a little bit of a monologue. And it's like, okay, of all the story we're getting, this little randomness is it. It's like cool. It's cool to see Hawk and see how he's doing with his brother in purgatory. This is just random. Doesn't fit at all. Because besides the leftovers versus scraps, which one they weren't even leftovers. It was like an actual cooked meal they just had. And scraps, honestly, looks gross. And Hawk describes it terribly. But I guess him being some kind of demon pig thing, I guess it makes sense. I'm not sure. And then they don't show up again until the very end. Um, they're in like Meliodas and Elizabeth's wedding. It's like, what was the point of showing that? You could skip that and just had them show up, and it kind of still would just made sense. I don't know. And that's all there is to this movie. It was. Why did I do a podcast on it? Because of my short. Because I just want to drink 7 different shots. And because it was kind of newer, I meant to do it sooner. I just never got around to it. There is one, I guess, a moral of all of this is the entire thing, the entire Holy War, wasn't even really war. It was a game between was supposed to be light and darkness, good and evil, the supreme deity and the demon king. It was just a game. It wasn't even a real war because this whole thing was about the supreme deity being like the Holy War should never ended. This was all supposed to go on for what? I don't really know. Like I guess if you think of it as a game, it's just them back and forth. But it's like, what would are you? Is your goal just to play, go on forever, no one really winning? Was it not for you to either to completely obliterate all the demons, or for other side to completely get rid of all the angels? Who knows? I mean, they show the angels a little bit and how they're being possessed, and whoever the one angel guy was, dude, I gotta learn names. He was fine, but all the other angels were still. They didn't even look possessed. They were just following orders and attacking people. The Holy Knights were like, "What side do we go with? We're supposed to be on the good." And it's like, okay, follow your hearts. Which side is trying to kill us? Don't join up with them. And it was like, okay, but it does show this dichotomy. Is that kind of like there's not really any real good or evil. Everything's gray. Like everyone's wanting to kill you. But this whole thing is just think. I don't know, if there was one more of this movie, it's think for yourself. Don't go and try to pick either kind of side. You're like, oh, this is the good side. This is the bad side. This is light is good and dark is bad. There's nothing like that. There's no such thing as light versus dark being bad. Everything's supposed to go together. There's supposed to be a balance. You see this in all kinds of things. And a good example is in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. One of the enemies is also possessed by light. It's like the bad side is light. It's like it's not always good. There's supposed to be some kind of balance. One famous quote. I don't know if it was quote. It's from Jackie Chan Adventures, the cartoon. Whenever he completely gets rid of like the first bad guy, the dragon thing. Uncle is just like, what do you mean you could destroy it? You can't destroy it because there has to be a balance between dark and light. If you destroy darkness, then that just opens up a hole for something even darker, even something even badder or whatever to jump in. And so there's always supposed to be this balance. And it goes to show neither of them are supposed to be evil. Neither of them are supposed to be good. Everything should just be gray. And that's why gray is my favorite color. This is brought to you by the color gray, Grey, because fuck the AY. That that's I don't know. I'm not gonna make any stupid jokes because they're probably not appropriate. Woo! But dang, I could just rant about a bunch of little stuff. I try to sort my thoughts out, but there's a lot of stuff I probably missed. But second time through, maybe I should watch that 1.5 speed. I drink a whole lot more, a whole lot quicker than I thought. I still sipping on this weird concoction and everything. Mm-mm-mm. It's not. It's kind of growing on me. It's not that bad as I thought. I put a little ice in it. Um, kind of water it down a little bit, but whatever. At least now I have plenty of alcohol to drink. But yeah, before I ramble on about other random stuff, that's 7 Daily Sins, Cursed by Light. At least I finally got around to it before it got a year old, I guess. Um, but yeah, not terrible. It definitely should have been longer. If it was longer, I felt like it would have been better. It would have been a lot more epic. They just rushed through it so much. But even the end of the series, like I was really into the first season of Seven Deadly Sins. Then the longer it went on, it just seemed like it was taking forever. I was just kind of wanting it to end. I wasn't that crazy about it by the time I got to the end of it. So it kind of affects this. I don't know. And I feel like the people who made this also kind of felt that way. They was like, well, we had this idea, but now we're not sure about it. Let's just put it out there. We're trying to make it as cool as we can, but whatever. Kind of seemed like what it was. It's a shame. And I'm a little. This is kind of how anime films were to begin with. Then they were kind of starting to get better, kind of be a lot more story focused. And then lately, because I don't want to bitch too much, I feel like I'm always bringing back to Mugen Train. They're kind of trying to rush and put stuff out to try to compete with Mugen Train, trying to get stuff out, but they're not living up to it because leading up to Mugen Train, there's a lot of cool films coming out. And they were getting cool. They had a good amount of story and plot and a whole lot of cool, really flashy action. It had it all. The Mugen Train kind of came out and it became super popular for the wrong reasons. That still just confused me. And then everyone's starting to rush. And even this, Sword Art, the newest My Hero Academia movie, they're all lackluster because I feel like they're all trying to like rush to get out because of Mugen Train. So it's kind of disappointing what's happening. I hope this trend doesn't continue. I hope it start. Maybe these were already in the works. Anime takes a long time, and they were trying to just put these out because the Mugen Train did so well. And there's like, okay, well, we need to go ahead and get these out so we can get on something even better. I don't know the whole deal with it, but I do expect more because stuff in the show was even cooler than the films, and that's another thing that's happened. They're making the series so cool, but then the films are being lackluster. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but I hope they start getting better. Like I said, not terrible. If you're like some people I know who only care about the action, you'll love this. For some reason, people think anything that is story is just filler. And I was like, well, that's the story is the story. The action is filler. The action is just to catch your attention, be like, ooh, flashy stuff, attention span of a toddler. But the story is the actual story part. It's weirdly confusing to me. I have no idea what people are thinking. They don't want story. They just want fights. And only fights is considered story. And it makes no sense. But before I don't know, I keep bitching and complaining, but a lot of this isn't even having to do completely with this film. So I'm going to leave it at that. There could be potential for more of this. I haven't looked at anything else in the Seven Deadly Sins series regarding the manga, if there are spin-offs or any kind of other side stories or whatever. There might be. I don't know if there's anything else planned. I try when I do these podcasts, I try to just focus only on this. Of course, that didn't happen, but And that's going to be it for this. Ooh, boy. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. If you really liked it, if you liked the rest of 70 Sins, wherever you're listening to this, go ahead and let me know your thoughts. Because I'm interested in seeing what people think about stuff like this. Maybe people want it even shorter, which confuses me. I still want it to be 2 hours. But whatever. Maybe you loved it. Maybe you also hate it. We can always talk more about it wherever you want to find me. And speaking of where you want to find me, you can find me all over the place. My social medias, for one, I have a lot. It's DAC Stories on most things, like Facebook, Twitter, everything, even Twitch. I'm on Twitch, or Instagram, which is _AC_stories. You can find me there. You can also find that into all that info in the description. Yeah, you can, find me there. Let's talk about it. I'm always down to talk about this. That's why I do these podcasts and why I do them so long. Maybe I should have had someone with me on here, but I feel like it would have just been me taking over and complaining anyways. Like I said, a lot of my friends already watched it. I guess I could have just not watched it again and done it based off memory. But I also didn't want to do my drinking bit. But if I did all that, then I didn't want to put them through it. I want to do this kind of for me. But whatever. So look forward to more of my podcast of alcohol and anime. Of course, I'm going to be doing plenty of them. There's already some you can go back and watch or listen to. Um, But yeah, wherever you are listening to this, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe if that's an option. Leave comments definitely if that's an option. I think honestly, for my own ego or whatever, that's the most important thing. Seeing comments, because then that gives me a little bit of interaction with people. But I know a lot of places where you listen, you can't really do that. But yeah, uh, that's gonna be it for this alcohol and anime podcast. Until next time, I am DAC. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.